And there's a chance that rare Korean family reunions we've reported on may become a regular thing. North and South Korean family members still torn apart from the outcome of the Korean War reunited last month for the first time since 2010. Many of the elderly family members feared that last month's reunion would be their last. But on Saturday, South Korean President Park Geun-hye made a formal proposal to North Korea to hold regular family reunions. Observers see this as a sign that Seoul wants to improve its often strained relations with the North. The three-year Korean War ended in 1953, and at this year's five-day reunion, which concluded on February 25th, just over 800 family members were moved to tears of joy by the meeting. An exodus of Ukrainians in Russia reportedly began even before Ukrainian President Viktor Yanukovych was ousted last month during intense protests in Kiev. According to Russia's Itar-Tass news agency, an estimated 675,000 Ukrainians left for Russia in January as well as in February. On Saturday, Russian migration authorities reported that 143,000 requests for asylum had been sent to Russia's authorities over a two-week period. Russian officials have promised to hurry along those applications. Some observers estimate that if Ukraine's chaos continues, thousands more refugees will flow into bordering Russian regions. Ukrainians have long formed a large presence in Russia. According to 2010 census figures, 1.9 million Ukrainians were officially living there. However, the Federal Migration Service put that figure as high as 3.5 million 1 year before.
The flagship of Ukraine's Navy reportedly refused to follow orders from Kiev and defected to Russia's side. Russia Today reports that the decision aboard the frigate, the Hetman Sadanaki, was made while the ship returned home from what sources said was a NATO training operation in the Gulf of Aden. A Russian senator reportedly confirmed to the Izvestia News Daily that the frigate defected to Russia's side and in the process displayed the Russian Navy's customary St. Andrew's flag. The flagship evidently has returned to the Black Sea. Sectarian violence in Iraq killed over just 700 people last month. That's about 140 more deaths than during February of 2013. The figure issued by the United Nations mission to Iraq is just below January's death toll of 733. Attacks on Saturday killed at least 5 people and wounded a dozen more. This February's increase in deaths and injuries shows that a surge of violence, which started 10 months ago, is not receding. That violence was reportedly sparked by a government crackdown on a Sunni Muslim protest camp.
Israel's Orthodox Jews do not want to be drafted under a new legislation that would make them eligible for mandatory military service. Accordingly, these ultra-Orthodox or Haredim Jews marched by the tens of thousands Sunday in Jerusalem to protest the bill. Protest leaders called on their wives and children to join them at the mass prayer. Since Israel's foundation, virtually all Haredim Jews have been exempt from conscription. The new legislation, which is expected to pass, would also end wholesale army exemptions granted to seminary students. Most Jewish men and women are summoned for military service when they turn 18. President Barack Obama spoke with his Russian counterpart Saturday for 90 minutes in an effort to reduce tensions and Russia's decision to send troops to the Crimean Peninsula in Ukraine. In a statement, the White House called the Kremlin's action a breach of international law. By phone, Obama called on President Vladimir Putin to limit his forces in the Crimean region and refrain from interfering elsewhere in the former Soviet Republic. However, Putin stressed to Obama the existing threats to life and health of Russian citizens living in parts of Ukraine and that Russia has the right to protect its interests there. After the Russian parliament authorized Putin to act, Russian troops took control over the Crimean region over the weekend. By all indications, the newly installed pro-Western government, which recently replaced the pro-Russian one in the capital of Kiev, was powerless to stop the troop deployment. And global warming got a chilly review when the co-founder of Greenpeace disputed the theory on Capitol Hill. Patrick Moore last week told the Senate Environment and Public Works Committee,
"There is no scientific proof that human emissions of carbon dioxide are the dominant cause of the minor warming of the Earth's atmosphere over the past 100 years.
In 1971, Moore helped form the world-famous Greenpeace activist group. He told the committee that if such solid scientific proof existed,
it would be written down for all to see. No actual proof, as it is understood in science, exists.
Moore left Greenpeace in 1986 because the group took a sharp turn to the political left and began adopting unscientific policies that he could not accept. He told the senators that such political bias has tainted so-called climate change science.
Russian President Vladimir Putin has imperialist aspirations which are a throwback to the last century. That's the opinion of House Armed Services Committee Chairman Howard McKeon. He expressed that view in an official press release on March 1st regarding Russia's decision to send troops to Ukraine's Crimean region. McKeon's statement added, Putin violated the freedom of all Ukrainians while betraying the Russian people and their 20-year international commitment to respect the independence and sovereignty and existing borders of Ukraine. The press statement added, history judges perpetrators of these actions poorly as it does those who stand idly by. Our response should demonstrate the U.S. stands by its friends against bullies.